The images from that March evening in London were striking. Outside an upscale restaurant in one of the capital's most exclusive neighborhoods, a man in a carefully tailored blazer adjusted his cufflinks while the woman beside him offered a measured smile to the waiting photographers. Princess Beatrice and her husband Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi appeared composed, unbothered by the swirling rumors that had dominated tabloid coverage for months. This moment, captured in crisp detail by the assembled press, told a story that the headlines had been getting wrong. For someone observing from the outside, the narrative seemed straightforward. A princess navigating family turmoil, a husband seemingly distant during crisis, a marriage supposedly strained under the weight of scandal. Yet the reality of their situation is far more nuanced, far more calculated, and ultimately far more revealing about the nature of contemporary royal life than most observers have cared to acknowledge. Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi represents something genuinely novel in the context of modern monarchy. He is neither a traditional aristocrat content to fade into the background, nor a social climber desperately clinging to royal relevance. Instead, he embodies a new archetype, the independent entrepreneur married into the institution, simultaneously building his own empire while navigating the complex dynamics of a family in crisis. To truly understand Edoardo, one must first move beyond his title and examine his actual accomplishments. Banda Property, the real estate firm he established while still in his 20s, has evolved into a substantial force in the luxury development market. This wasn't an inheritance. It was constructed through business acumen, aesthetic vision, and calculated risk-taking. The scope of his professional achievements is significant. His firm has shaped over 400,000 square feet of London's architectural landscape, overseeing projects with values approaching €700 million. These aren't modest residential developments or suburban renovations. These are transformative projects aimed at the world's wealthiest individuals. Penthouses in Manhattan, townhouses in Chelsea, bespoke residences for international oligarchs and established family fortunes. What distinguishes Edoardo's approach is his philosophy regarding design and development. He has cultivated a specific aesthetic, a marriage of classical architectural principles with contemporary materials and sensibilities. This combination appeals precisely to his target demographic, individuals with sufficient wealth to commission custom residences but with sophisticated enough taste to appreciate understated elegance over ostentatious display. This professional success creates an important context for understanding his relationship dynamics. Edoardo is not a man dependent on royal patronage for his relevance or income. His business card doesn't require the Mapelli Mozzi name to carry weight in the development world. His portfolio does. This fundamental independence shapes how he navigates royal life in ways that previous generations of royal spouses rarely experienced. The popular narrative frames Edoardo as a commoner who married a princess, a narrative that fundamentally misunderstands his background. His family lineage extends back centuries, rooted in Italian nobility and aristocratic tradition. The Mapelli Mozzi family holds documented noble heritage that predates the modern iteration of the British royal family itself. His father, Count Alessandro Mapelli Mozzi, carries a title granted to the family in 1913 by King Victor Emmanuel III of Italy. While Italy's transition to a republic in 1946 technically ended the official recognition of noble titles, such designations retain considerable social significance within aristocratic circles across Europe. By virtue of being Edoardo's wife, Princess Beatrice automatically inherited the title of Countess within these same circles. Their daughters, Sienna and Athena, hold the designation of noble woman in Italian social contexts. Yet the most tangible manifestation of this heritage is not titular but geographical and architectural. Villa Mapelli Mozzi, located near the province of Bergamo in the Lombardy region of Italy, represents centuries of accumulated history and aesthetic refinement. This 18th-century neoclassical masterpiece encompasses 18,000 square feet of carefully maintained residence space, complete with 13 bedrooms, 2 libraries, and ceiling frescoes that rival museum collections. The estate has remained within the family since the medieval period, evolving from its origins as a monastery into the refined palace it represents today. This aspect of Edoardo's identity cannot be overstated. When he and Beatrice are photographed in high society contexts, they are not guests at the periphery of old money networks. They are participants within established systems of European aristocratic privilege that operate independently of, and sometimes parallel to, British royal structures. This gives Beatrice something she otherwise would not possess: a secondary identity and a secondary home entirely removed from the scrutiny and pressure of the British tabloid ecosystem. Perhaps more revealing than either his business achievements or aristocratic heritage is Edoardo's approach to family construction. His previous relationship with American architect Dura Huang produced a son, Christopher Wolfe, known universally as Wolfie. Rather than becoming a source of tension or embarrassment, as such circumstances might have been in earlier royal eras, Wolfie's presence became central to how Beatrice and Edoardo defined their family structure. Beatrice's integration of Wolfie into her maternal role has been genuine and public. She has described the experience of being a stepmother as a great honor, language that seems neither performative nor defensive. More tellingly, Dura Huang herself has publicly supported and championed the arrangement, posting images on social media of Wolfie creating handmade gifts for Beatrice and openly celebrating their family unit as one built on expansion rather than exclusion. This dynamic reveals something important about contemporary royal identity. The traditional royal family operated on rigid hierarchies of legitimacy and succession rights. Modern royal culture, at least as Beatrice and Edoardo practice it, has shifted toward emphasizing chosen family and integrated relationships. Their household includes biological children, Sienna and Athena, a stepchild, Wolfie, and maintains active positive relationships with the child's mother. This represents a deliberate rejection of historical patterns where stepchildren might be marginalized or excluded from official royal functions. The parenting philosophy they have adopted reflects this modern sensibility. Unlike the intensive, highly formal structures sometimes associated with a Wales household, Beatrice and Edoardo reportedly prioritize freedom and normalcy. They have consciously declined to assign their daughters formal royal titles, preferring the simple designations Miss Sienna and Miss Athena. They conduct school runs personally rather than delegating entirely to professional childcare staff. They visit public attractions and entertainment venues as regular visitors rather than as figures requiring special accommodations. This approach simultaneously protects their children from the burden of formal royal duty while also insulating them from the particular pressures and expectations that come with prominent royal designation. It is a strategic decision that reflects Edoardo's influence and philosophy as much as Beatrice's own inclinations. An element of Beatrice and Edoardo's relationship that deserves more analytical attention than it has received is their shared neurodivergence. Both individuals identify as dyslexic, a condition that, historically, would have been treated as a liability or inconvenience within royal structures. Instead, they have reframed it as what they term their superpower. For Beatrice, the dyslexia diagnosis arrived during her childhood and created genuine struggle during her formative years. The educational systems she navigated were not designed to accommodate alternative cognitive processing styles, creating feelings of inadequacy and disconnection from her peers. Edoardo's experience paralleled hers, though his subsequent business success provided tangible evidence that dyslexic cognitive patterns can produce exceptional results when properly channeled. Their shared advocacy has moved beyond performative patronage of relevant charities. They have become actively engaged in reshaping how neurodiversity is discussed within their immediate circles and, through their platform, within broader cultural conversations. Beatrice has publicly expressed hope that her own children might inherit dyslexia, framing it not as a condition to be avoided but as a difference to be understood and leveraged. This shared foundation has created a particular kind of intimacy and mutual understanding that less informed observers might miss. They operate together with an intuitive shorthand that exists outside formal protocols and standard procedures. They are both comfortable with unconventional approaches to problem-solving, and neither requires the kind of formal documentation-heavy systems that can dominate institutional settings. In practical terms, this means they are harder for palace machinery to predict or control through traditional means. They operate from shared internal logic and intuitive understanding. When crisis narratives emerge, They do not respond through careful document review and formal statement construction. Instead, they rely on their instinctive understanding of what constitutes noise versus genuine concern. The timing of Edoardo's increased focus on American expansion, particularly his presence in Florida and Miami during the period when Beatrice's family faced intense legal and reputational crisis, generated considerable speculation. Was he abandoning his wife during her family's darkest moment? Was he deliberately distancing himself from the York wreckage, as some commentators suggested? Or was he executing a calculated business strategy that happened to create geographical separation? The reality appears to be primarily the latter, though the emotional and strategic dimensions are not entirely separable. Banda property operates within a global real estate market where wealth flows with increasing velocity toward American markets, particularly the luxury segments of Florida's coastal cities. A genuine business opportunity existed in Miami and Palm Beach that required Edoardo's personal presence and attention. Yet the optics were undeniably complex. While Beatrice remained in the United Kingdom, publicly riding horses with her father and maintaining visible loyalty to her family, Edoardo was posting images of turquoise waters, luxury developments, and sun-drenched architectural projects. The contrast was striking enough to generate exactly the kind of speculation that filled tabloid pages during that period. What matters is not whether Edoardo's primary motivation was business development or reputational protection. Both factors likely influenced his decision-making. What matters is that he made a choice to maintain professional momentum and business expansion during a period of family crisis. This decision reflects his understanding that his value, and ultimately his ability to support Beatrice and their family, depends on maintaining the Banda brand as a distinct entity, separate from and untouched by royal family scandal. His investors, particularly international wealth managers and wealthy European families with holdings and development projects, required confidence that their properties and their investments would remain associated with impeccable taste and professional excellence, not legal entanglements or reputational liability. Edoardo's continued prominence in professional contexts served to reinforce this separation. The firm, as the royal family navigated significant internal challenges and structural tensions during this period, Beatrice and Edoardo occupied a unique position. Neither fully integrated